Cimoooooooo!
What's going on, guys? It's Cimo, and today I wanted to do a little discussion about a card called Royal Command and how this card is going to affect the meta once Shaddolls come into the game. So, quick little story. A couple of friends and I were at a locals, and we're just playing, having a good time, and we're flipping through some trade binders, and I happened to see Royal Command in there, and this card is from Labyrinth of Nightmare. Like, this card is fucking ancient. Like, this is the 4th or 5th set ever released. For those of you that don't know, like, this card is old. But anyway, I realized that I had never looked at the card up close. I always knew that the card negates flip effects, because back then, that was really powerful to stop, some of the best flip effect monsters that were still legal. But anyway, as I was looking, I read the text up close, and the text states, negate the activation and effect of all flip effect monsters. And I reread it a couple times in my head, and I realized, holy shit, this card is a skill drain for flip effect monsters. Now, Shaddolls are a different breed, because back then there weren't monsters that had flip effects on top of having regular effects. They just had flip effects. Like, think Magician of Faith. You flipped her, got your spell, and that was it. Shaddolls have two things going for them. So that's what's a little different now. And so when I read this, I am like, good God, this is a skill drain that we can use against Shaddolls, because Royal Command does not specify where the card has to be for the effect to be negated. It can be on the field, in the hand, in the graveyard, in the deck, whatever. It's going to negate the effect if it's a flip effect monster. And I'm like, oh shit. This card is incredible. This is going to be the one card counter to Shaddolls. Side deck a couple of these and, you're going to win the matchup, because they're not going to have a chance against you. But then I'm like, okay, this is too good to be true. This card cannot be this good. I mean, Konami would not release this awesome archetype that's going to be probably one of the most powerful archetypes that's ever been released, and have this big of a weakness just that's available to everyone. And this card, the Labyrinth of Nightmare Ultra Rare Edition, is going for like $10+ on eBay right now. So I was thinking, okay, maybe this is the one card counter. But upon some research, I found out that the card has been errated several times. The first errata I found is from Dark Beginnings 2, and it says, negate the activation and effects of all flip effect monster effects. So when I read that, I was like, okay, this does absolutely nothing, because just adding the repetitious word of effects twice doesn't change what the card does. It still does exactly the same thing. It's still a skill drain for flip effect monsters. But then there is another errata of this card that came out in Turbo Pack 5. And the Turbo Pack 5 edition of this card reads, negate the activation and effects of all flip effects. And that was the nail in the coffin right there, unfortunately, because of the way it's worded now, it's only going to negate the flip effect part of the Shaddolls. So if the Shaddolls are still sent to the graveyard, they're going to have their effects. However, you can still use Royal Command to stop their flip effects. You can use it to stop Dragon. You can use it to stop Falcon, which I think Falcon's the most important flip effect in my opinion. But it's nowhere near the power card that it could have been if it wasn't errated. Now, unfortunately, this card is not worth the hype that's going behind it. Running this card just to stop the flip effects of Falcon and Dragon aren't going to do anything. I mean, you're better off running Nobleman of Crossout, because Nobleman of Crossout, if you use that on a Falcon, you're not only going to get rid of that Falcon, but you're going to get rid of all the other Falcons in their deck on top of it. So you're getting a huge plus, and they're not going to be able to mess with the Falcons for the rest of the game. But it's really unfortunate that this card was errated, because we could have had this easy counter to Shaddolls, and it would have been a way to actually combat how powerful this archetype really is. But at the same time, Konami's one step ahead in preparing that, okay, Royal Command isn't supposed to do what it is in the game now. Because like I said before, flip effect monsters back in the day were just flip effects. They didn't have additional effects on top of their flip effect. But now that the game is changing and they're releasing flip effect monsters with secondary effects, it's just completely different, and Royal Command has to be errated for this reason. So let me know what you guys think in the comments about Royal Command. I mean, I personally don't think that this card is worth like the $10+ that people are asking for it on eBay for the ultra rare Labyrinth of Nightmare version. If you have them, I would say drop them now while they're still this high, because it's not going to be worth it, and I really don't think it's going to be side deck worthy. Yeah, thank you guys so much for watching the video, and we'll see you next time.